didn't leave my home in Texas because I wanted to. I left because something learned how to knock. This event happened in 1997, and I title this story, I Left My Home in Texas, because something wouldn't stop knocking. And I don't mean that in a poetic way. I mean that literally. Something stood outside my front door and knocked like a person. Slow, deliberate, patient, like it had all the time in the world. Let me explain something first. I'm not the kind of person who scares easily. I lived alone for almost 3 years in that house. Middle of nowhere, just outside a small town. Nothing but long roads, dry grass, and silence that stretches too far at night. You get used to weird sounds out there. The wind scraping against the siding, coyotes howling somewhere far off, even the occasional stray animal brushing past your porch. So when I first heard the knocking, I ignored it. It was around 11:40 p.m. I remember because I had just turned off my TV and was getting ready to sleep. The house had gone completely quiet, the kind of silence that almost hums in your ears. Then, knock, not loud, not aggressive, just controlled, like someone testing if anyone was home. I froze for a second, sitting there on the edge of my bed. Then I checked my phone. No messages, no calls. Nobody was supposed to be there. I told myself it was nothing. Probably just wood settling. Maybe something hit the door from outside. That happens. So I stayed still, waited, listened. Nothing. No second knock, no footsteps, no voice. Just silence again. I remember actually laughing a little. That nervous kind of laugh you do when your brain almost tricks you into being scared. I shook my head, lay down, and pulled the blanket over myself, and for a few minutes, I almost fell asleep. Then it came again. Knock, knock. This time, closer together, more intentional. Now I sat up, completely awake, because that wasn't random. That wasn't wood. That wasn't an animal. That was rhythm. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness of my room, landing on the door across the hallway, the front door, and I just stared at it, waiting for it to happen again. But it didn't. Minutes passed. 1 minute, 2, 5, nothing. I told myself the same thing again. You're overthinking this. So I got up, slowly, each step louder than it should have been. The wooden floor creaked under my weight as I moved down the hallway, and the closer I got to the front door, the colder it felt. Not dramatically cold, just enough to notice. I reached the door, stood there, listening. Nothing. There was a small peephole in the center. I leaned forward and looked through it, and saw absolutely nothing, just darkness. The porch light wasn't on, which was strange, because I always left it on. I frowned, stepped back, and flipped the switch on the wall beside the door. The porch light came alive instantly, flooding the outside with a dull yellow glow. I looked again through the peephole. Still nothing. No person, no movement, no car, no shadow, just an empty porch. I remember standing there for a long time, longer than necessary, like I was waiting for something to reveal itself, but it didn't. So, eventually, I unlocked the door. I don't know why I did that. Looking back now, that was the first mistake. The lock clicked, loud, too loud, and for a split second, I hesitated, my hand resting on the handle, something in my gut telling me, don't open it. But I ignored it, because nothing was there, right? I pulled the door open. The hit me immediately. Dry, still, quiet. The kind of quiet that feels unnatural, like the world is holding its breath. I stepped out onto the porch, looked left, looked right, empty. The road in front of my house stretched into darkness. No headlights, no movement. Even the usual sounds, the insects, the distant animals, were gone. That's when I noticed something strange. The ground, right in front of my door. There were marks, not footprints, not exactly, more like impressions, uneven, like something had been standing there, but shifting its weight. I crouched down to get a better look, and that's when I realized they weren't going away from the door. They were facing it. Something had stood there for a while, watching. I felt that cold sensation again, creeping up my spine this time. So I stood up quickly and stepped back inside, closed the door, locked it, checked the windows, turned on every light in the house, and told myself it was nothing. But I didn't sleep that night, because around 2:17 a.m., it came back. This time, knock, 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 louder, more confident, and right after that, a pause, then something new, something that made my stomach drop. A voice, soft, barely above a whisper, from the other side of the door. Hello? I stopped breathing because I knew something wasn't right. The voice sounded human, but not natural, like it was being copied, imitated, and then it said my name. Perfectly. Not at first. I just stood there in the hallway, staring at the door like if I looked away, something worse would happen. My name had come through that door. Clear, accurate, familiar, but wrong. I know you're inside. It said it again. Same tone, same pacing, like it was reading from a script it had practiced. I backed away slowly. Every instinct in my body was telling me one thing now. Do not open that door again. Hey. The voice changed slightly, less hollow, more personal, almost friendly. Didn't you hear me knocking? That's when something clicked in my head. It wasn't just talking, it was adjusting, like it was learning. I grabbed my phone and opened my contacts. My first thought was to call someone, anyone, but my signal was weak out there. It always had been. One bar, sometimes none. I tried anyway. Dialed my neighbor, Tom. He lived about half a mile down the road. The call didn't even go through. Outside, the voice went quiet again. No knocking, no movement, just silence. For a moment, I thought it was over, that maybe whatever it was had left. Then, a new sound from behind me. Knock. I turned so fast I almost slipped. The sound came from the back of the house. The kitchen door. My chest tightened because there was no way something could have moved from the front door to the back that fast. Not without me hearing it, not without footsteps. Knock, knock, same rhythm, same patience. I took a step toward the kitchen, then stopped because something felt off, even more than before. The front door was still in my line of sight, and for a split second, I thought I saw something, a shadow, moving under the crack of the door, like something was still standing there. My brain couldn't process it. Front door, back door, knocking from behind me, shadow in front of me. That's when the voice came again, but not from outside. From the hallway, right behind me. Why aren't you answering? I spun around. Nothing. Empty hallway, closed bedroom door, bathroom door slightly open. No one there, but I heard it, clear as anything, and then my phone vibrated in my hand. I looked down, unknown number, calling me at 2:23 a.m. I didn't want to answer. I knew I shouldn't answer, but something in me needed to know. So I did. I lifted the phone to my ear, didn't say anything, and for a second, there was only static. Then, breathing slow, close, like whoever or whatever was on the line was holding the phone right up to their mouth. Then it spoke. You opened the door before. My blood ran cold, because that was true. You can do it again. The line went dead. At that exact moment, every light in my house flickered. Once, twice, then went out. Complete darkness. I stood there frozen, phone still in my hand, the screen now my only source of light. And in that darkness, I heard it again, not from the doors, not from the hallway, from inside the house. Walking, slow steps, heavy, measured step, step, step. Moving somewhere behind the walls, or above me, or number. Closer than that, the floor creaked, right in front of me. I lifted my phone slightly. The light shook in my hand. And then I saw it, at the end of the hallway. A shape, too tall, too still, just standing there, watching me. I couldn't make out details. No face, no clear outline. Just something darker than the darkness around it. Then it tilted its head, slowly. And when it did, I heard my own voice from that thing. Why did you let me in? I don't remember deciding to run. My body just did it. I turned and sprinted back into my bedroom, slammed the door and locked it, pushed a chair against it, then another. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. Outside the door, silence again. No footsteps, no knocking, nothing. Minutes passed, or maybe seconds. I couldn't tell anymore. Then, a soft sound from right outside my bedroom door. Not knocking, scratching, like fingers dragging slowly across the wood. You shouldn't hide. My voice, again, perfectly copied. This is your home, right? The scratching got slower, more deliberate. Open the door. I backed away until I hit the wall, because I realized something then, something worse than everything that had already happened. It wasn't outside anymore, it was inside, and it knew the house better than I did.